Only a few NBA players experience a continuous decline in performance over the years and still manage to stay in the NBA. But considering it is the premier basketball league of the world, it makes sense. That being said, there is one clear outlier in this trend. An NBA player who has decreased output almost every year, but has still been lingering on the bench for many years. And that player goes by Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Many see this as a clear case of nepotism due to his brother being such an important player for the Milwaukee Bucks, which may be true. And we can all agree that Thanasis is far from a good NBA player. But how bad is he actually? Welcome to Sportsphere. Let's get into it.
That man right there got the best job security in the history of civilization right there.
Who's that? He's not a bad player.
I know, I didn't say he was a bad player, but I'm saying they not
job security.
They got for job security. That boy gonna always have a job as long as his brother's the man.
As you may be aware, all the Antetokounmpo brothers were born in Athens to Nigerian parents. Thanasis is the oldest of the 5 brothers, born in July 1992. Much like the rest of his brothers, he began playing basketball at youth camps in his home country, Greece. However, back home, he was not given the same opportunities in basketball as you might see from kids growing up in the USA. In Greece, basketball is not the most popular sport, so opportunities to play basketball were certainly limited growing up, with soccer being the most popular sport in Greece. That being said, one thing was certainly on his side, and that would be his insane genetics, which all the Antetokounmpo brothers had. While not as tall as his younger brother Giannis, Thanasis is still 6'7" tall with a solid build, so a career playing professional basketball was probably always on the cards. Thanasis began his basketball journey quite late, when he was just 16 years old, where he played for junior teams in Athens. He played semi-professionally with the same club for a couple of years before finally getting his chance at professional basketball aged 20. Thanasis joined the men's team after his brother Giannis had. The pair looked like they would be together on draft night as well, with Thanasis originally declaring for the 2013 NBA draft. And this was a slightly surprising move for Thanasis, as he averaged just 12.2 points, 4.9 rebounds and 1 assist per game. This was the same season that his younger brother Giannis was also outperforming him. In the end, Thanasis decided to build his stock in Greece for one more season, while Giannis was drafted in the first round of the 2013 NBA draft by the Bucks. As for Thanasis, he was later selected in the 2013 NBA Development League draft. So Thanasis got a chance to impress NBA teams. A solid season with the Delaware 87ers landed Thanasis in the second round of the 2014 NBA draft, selected by the New York Knicks. As a late second round pick, Thanasis got a big opportunity to impress in the Summer League. However, expectations wouldn't live up to reality, and Thanasis had a poor overall performance. As a result, his next 2 seasons saw him remain in the D-League. After playing just 2 games and scoring 6 points in those 2 games, Thanasis looked like he was done in the NBA. While younger brother Giannis was becoming an NBA superstar, Thanasis was out of the NBA, and it looked as though he would have to rebuild his career in Europe. After a single season in Andorra, Thanasis returned to Greece, this time with a different team. It seemed like a great move for Thanasis, as the team is not only one of the biggest sides in Greece, but also an instant competitor of the EuroLeague. Thanasis joined a team that was already massively successful, and they continued their winning streak with successive Greek titles in 2018 and 2019. In that time, Thanasis was named the most spectacular player of the Greek League. At the end of the second successful campaign, there were some slightly surprising rumours regarding a return to the NBA for Thanasis. While it was clear that he was not getting a huge amount of interest from a variety of teams, the Milwaukee Bucks certainly made it clear they wanted to add another Antetokounmpo brother to their roster. Thanasis was signed to a 2-year deal with the Bucks to partner with his brother Giannis. Unlike his time in New York, it was clear from early on that Thanasis would be a part of the rotation for the Bucks. And never seen as a starter, Thanasis became a 10-minute per night contributor. His minutes went down considerably in the playoffs, but that didn't have a huge impact on Milwaukee. In fact, Thanasis won a ring with the Bucks in 2021 and featured in 13 of their playoff games that season. Despite these being garbage minutes, the Bucks still decided to keep Thanasis, and he signed another 2-year extension. Despite his regular season minutes going down in the last couple of seasons, the Bucks still gave Thanasis another contract in 2023. So it might seem like Thanasis must be doing something right for all these opportunities, right? So how bad is Thanasis actually? If you look at the teams he has played for and the accolades he's accumulated, it might seem like Thanasis Antetokounmpo is getting a bit too much hate. The older Antetokounmpo brother is an NBA champion, two-time Greek League champion, and was also on the D-League All-Defensive team. He is featured in almost 200 games in the NBA, coming off the bench in 95% of those games. But when you take a look further into his stats, then it looks a bit worse for Thanasis, as there is no statistical category where Thanasis really stands out. Across his entire NBA career, he's averaged just 2.6 points per game, while barely able to put up an assist every other game. He gathers in around 1.7 rebounds, while not shooting really efficiently for a guy his size and stature. Much like his younger brother Giannis, Thanasis is a pretty poor 3-point shooter, averaging just 15% from beyond the arc. Considering Thanasis has won a couple of accolades for his impressive defensive performances in the D-League, those performances didn't really translate to the big leagues. Thanasis averages just 0.3 steals per game and 0.2 blocks per game across his entire career. In fact, his career high in blocks in a single game is just 2, which is around the numbers of an average NBA player. So it seems like Thanasis is not a great NBA player. Teams would usually give players who barely contribute to a team 1-year contracts and not player-friendly 2-year deals. Thanasis is barely playing an on-court role for the Bucks. He has more turnovers per game than steals and blocks combined. At 31 years old, this is probably the best Thanasis will ever be. He isn't very versatile and doesn't have any key outstanding attributes. However, saying he's the worst player in the NBA might be a stretch too far. He is still a pretty phenomenal talent, but there's no doubt that this case of nepotism has been very frustrating to NBA fans, considering some of the lowlights for Thanasis. Thanasis may not be a good NBA player, but I think his support for his younger brother Giannis has been his main contributing factor for Milwaukee. The two brothers seem like they have an unbreakable bond, and just bringing in Thanasis has likely lifted the morale of Giannis by a lot, and these statistics cannot be seen on the stat sheet. Thanasis Antetokounmpo is not the worst player in NBA history. However, there have been very few awful NBA players who've gotten as many opportunities as a 31-year-old. After failing to even be good enough for the D-League, Thanasis was able to rebuild his basketball career in Greece. But the truth is, a couple of Greek League titles are not enough to validate another chance at the NBA. And after 2 seasons where he barely featured for the Bucks, it would have made sense for Milwaukee to move on from him, right? NBA benches change around a lot, and it was clear that Thanasis was not good enough for the league. But he was given another 2-year contract. The same thing happened in 2023, with Thanasis getting another extension by Milwaukee. In the latest offseason, there were some rumors that the Knicks wanted to bring him back, but the Bucks held on to Thanasis. Overall, there is absolutely no doubt that Thanasis Antetokounmpo would still be playing in Europe if his brother was not a multiple-time MVP. The fact that Thanasis is getting these opportunities with the Bucks is no surprise. Giannis clearly had some influence on the team when it came to signing his brother, as well as keeping a hold of him. The worst player in the NBA might be a little too far, but Thanasis Antetokounmpo might be the luckiest player in the league. And that's it for the video. Do you think that Thanasis Antetokounmpo is the worst player in the NBA? Why not put your thoughts in the comments below? And while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching Sportsphere. We'll see you next time.